Hey everyone, it's Jason. Welcome to another Marvel vs. System two-player card game. This is Fractured Families. So this is a brand new 3-set of Cosmic Powers. So it's Volume 5, issue number 7. Got the Fantastic Four, of course, the Cosmic Family. But this is the Fractured version. So this is actually a really interesting deck because, let's just look at the little description here. Looking at the Fantastic Four temporary split during the Superhuman Civil War. Then next issue will have Frightful Foes. Third issue will be the Future Foundation. Note, some cards in this issue are cards from the First Family and the Civil War story arcs. So they might have cards that reference cards outside the set. So this is kind of neat because it's like, how do you keep doing Fantastic Four sets without constantly just reprinting the Fantastic Four over and over and over? And again, no one wants that. Like, you did more Spider-Friends. Yeah, you had a different version of Spidey in his costume. We have a bunch of his allies. You did Avengers. We had some base Avengers. We had West Coast Avengers. Cosmic Avengers. X-Men. You had this iteration, that iteration, this group. But Fantastic Four is always the main four characters. So this is a neat way to do it because it brought them during the Civil War. And it's also going to tie into that with the pro-registration, anti-registration. So this will work tying to the Fantastic Four sets that came out, as well as those sets that came out. So it's really a neat way to do this. So here's another look at this. I kind of super like Sue Storm, Reed Richards, Fantastic Four, and New Threats when combined strength of their incredible powers. So yeah. It doesn't really get too much into that. But yeah, we're going to get some neat crossover with that. We're going to jump right in with a complicated character, just to see what's going on with that, is we have Franklin Richards, is a level 1. So he's a Fantastic Four team, multiversal adventures. You start the game with a multiversal adventure pile. During setup, after each player reveals their starting main character, you choose which one of your multiversal adventure decks to use this game. In case, someone has more than one. Learn from the grown-ups. Level up 1 at the start of your main phase. Another main character is level 2 or higher. Franklin gains 1 XP. Alright, so what is a multiversal deck? Instead of 1 deck, Franklin actually gets you 3. Your multiversal adventure pile starts with 3 complete 60-card decks. Each of which must be legal for Franklin use. For example, you can't include any photographic universe cards. These piles are variable. You choose which cards to include, and private, your opponent can't look at their contents. After you find out what main character your opponent is using, you get to pick which one of your 3 decks to start the game with. Well, Franklin is level 2, you'll be able to switch your current deck for one of the remaining ones, and if you want, you can switch that deck one last time. There's something special deck building rules for the pile. Okay. Each deck can have its own piles. Normally cards and piles can't have their own piles, but each one of Franklin is allowed to have their own piles. Just make sure to keep track of which pile goes with which deck. So what that means is, like, if you have a deck that creates a equipment pile, right? For deck 1, deck 2 and 3 don't have to have that shared equipment pile. You could have 3 different decks. They all have 3 different equipment piles. Or if they create, like a crane pile or, like some other odd thing like that. They can each have their one. Each specific card can only be in 1 deck. For example, if you put any number of copies of the 6 cost Fantastic Four thing in 1 deck, you can't include any copies of that thing in the other 2 decks. However, this doesn't prevent you from including other versions of the same character. For example, you could still include the new 5 cost pro registration thing in one of the other decks if you like. So that's kind of neat. So again, you can have the 3 different decks, but they have to be variations of the same thing. That's cool. Restrictions include basic locations. So if you put any fortresses in 1 deck, you can't put in the other deck. Oh, that's interesting. You could include basic location, basic strain location with a different name, though. This also applies for cards in each deck's piles. For example, if Brainstorm is in 1 deck or the other deck's piles, each other character can have Brainstorms. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So you have to build 3 decks that are completely different from each other. The basic location thing is very interesting because then that means, like, sometimes you might just want to include 4 of each copy in a deck, and you can't do that. That's pretty cool. It's a different way to do the game. Interesting. Let's see what his level 2 is. Levels up. Explore the multiverse. At the start of your build phase, Franklin may pay any power symbol. If he does, remove your deck, KO, pile, and hand from the game. Choose the remaining deck from your multiverse adventure. Shuffle it. Comes in your deck. Draw cards. This is kind of cool because that means you could try and plan, like, one deck does this with, like, maybe they have a lot of strength on, like, or focus on the strength superpower. And you can keep using all those up, right? And then now you can, like, pull out your second deck. Okay, cool. Now I have a defense deck to start. These are all high defense. They're going to kind of support me. They could come with deck 2. I have a super aggressive deck now. I have a defense set up. Now I'm an aggressive deck. Or you could be like, I have an aggressive deck to start with, then flip to a defensive deck to save up maybe for deck 3. Yeah, there's some neat options you could do with that. It's kind of an interesting gameplay. Alright, let's hop into our next one. We have the Human Torch, who's Fantastic Four, and Anti-Registration, or Captain America's team. Hothead. Combat, if this is your first attack this turn, he strikes the defender. And then Hot Stuff. When Human Torch solo attacks your first attack each turn, he gains an XP. No, he's just going to rush into battle. Then when he levels up, he becomes a 7/5. And he still has Hothead, but he has the hottest guy in the galaxy. This is kind of cool. So we have pay 2 blue or pay 2 space cards. I believe that's space. No, that's space, or is that Earth? That's space. Pay 2 space or pay a combination of the 2. For the rest of the game, when Human Torch enters melee combat with an enemy character, put 2 -1 counters on it for each time he's used this power in the game. Cool. So at most you're going to be able to use it, if you happen to have 4 of each of those. You could use it quite a few times. So you can really burn guys up. That's neat. So the space location, the little blue icon there, like circle, is like the other basic locations, red, blue, yellow, green. Except it's a little bit harder to come by. But it is in one of the expansions coming up. It's in the next, spoilers, it's in the next one. So in future photos, they added some in there for that reason, because otherwise they were, I think, in like the Alien or Predator sets. Otherwise they were in the Monster Unleashed. I don't know if they were repeated in any other sets. They were hard to get. So they repeated them in here for that reason. And then we have the Invisible Woman, who's also anti-registration. Do I look like I need protecting? Green. If Invisible Woman is defending the front row, she can't be struck this combat. Hiding with the Resistance. When a Fantastic Four or anti-registration supporting character appears on her side, you may hide it. If you do, Invisible Woman gains XP equal to its cost. Was trying to remember what hiding does. I think. Alright. So hide, just as a reminder, I go look this up quick. Because I hate to include all the keywords all the time. Lets you flip another character face down. They don't take a wound, but they do lose any of their buffs on them, equipment, counters, all that stuff. But they can't be attacked or defended unless there's a special thing that does it. So it kind of lets them be protected. They'll flip back up on the next turn, but it also does lose some of their stuff. So yeah, you kind of want to make sure if you're doing that, you're not putting counters on guys first. You be careful with it. She goes up to 4/8, and then she says, create a wall of force. So she has hers is pay 2 blue, Genius, or I think Genius, or Earth, or the combination. So Human Torches with space, hers are Earth. Invisible Woman in your front row, place a Wall of Force terrain token into your back row. If you already have one, replace it with a new one. Alright, so we're going to see what that does quick. So we have this special Wall of Force terrain token. Placement, your back row for all characters. Impenetrable wall, this character in this row can't be attacked. Has 3 health. So basically going to throw us up behind her everyone behind her now in the back row cannot be attacked unless they destroy the spur. So it's pretty cool. We've seen terrain tokens in other sets. It's kind of neat to have one that's specifically attached to a character. Alright, our next main character is Mr. Fantastic, who is Fantastic Four and Pro Registration, Iron Man's team. Stretch your mind, build, create an invention, and then volunteer to register. Level up 30. When you recruit a character that doesn't have Swarm, Mr. Fantastic gains 1 XP for each letter in its card title. Wow. That's pretty crazy. So yeah, let's look at this really quick here. He has, only counts actual letters, not use stars or on them for unique guys, periods, hyphens, or other punctuations. It's just Spider-Man. It's Spider and Man, not the two cards between it, or the dash between it. Mr. Fantastic is on both Fantastic Four and Pro teams. When he creates an invention, it can be from either one of them teams or a neutral one. Yes, when he creates an invention, he gets to start a deck out for inventions. So at the beginning of the game, you create an invention pile, which could be a card such as this. It says Invention 1, or it could be a plot twist potentially. This also has Invention 1. This starts the game in your invention pile. No one uses this ability, you can create that. We'll look at those a little bit more when we get to those at the end. What's neat is because, yeah, now we can use one specific to either group. Yeah, 30 guys for a name. So that's interesting because, like, do you try and I want to run through and be like, okay, I gotta try and find guys with like the longest names but like the cheapest costs. So like, just as a quick note here, it's like our first guy, cheapest guy is Brainstorm. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 right there. That's super helpful. But then we get to, like, 5 costs here. Do you spend 5 for Thing, who only has 5? That's very interesting. That's a cool little effect. I love those ideas. Then he levels up to 2. He has 5, 7. Still has Stretch Your Mind. Has Project Lightning. So he gets to spend 2 yellow, 2 space, or a combo. Move a supporting character in your hand from the game, then clone it. The clone gains lethal and starting next turn, remove the clone from the game. So basically just becomes a copy of it. So put a copy of that chosen character into your side. Copies all the printed characters, name, team, cost, attack, defense, health, powers of that character plus lethal. So move a copy for every in your game. Yeah, so it creates a clone of the character in your hand. Yeah, so you create them and you discard them. That's neat. He cloned Thor. You didn't know. Spoilers for his really old series. Alright, our next main character then should be our last main character. It's not. It's our next main character. It's the Thing, Benjamin Grimm. Reed Richards. I didn't probably say Reed Richards, Sue Storm, Johnny Storm. You guys know the Fantastic Four by now. We gotta protect the people. Any combat. If another character in the Thing's row is defending, remove it from the combat and move it to your back row, then Thing becomes a defender. Don't you see what you're doing? Level up 5. When combat starts, it doesn't include the Thing, he gains 1 XP. If all characters in the combat are good, he gains 2 XP instead. So he's a pro registration. This is interesting because, let me read this. So if you're not familiar with the storyline for Civil War, is how the Fantastic Four gets separated apart. Is Reed Richards goes with Iron Man. They're trying to create portals and stop people and do all that. Human Torch doesn't agree with it. Gets attacked by some people. Ends up in the hospital. Of course, Sue goes with her brother. Visible Woman goes against it. So that kind of splits the family in half there. The Thing is kind of on the outside. Like, he doesn't... I don't think he generally has an issue with the registration in and of itself, except all of a sudden now all the heroes and everyone are fighting, and he's kind of like, no, like, this is wrong. We don't need to be doing this. So that's kind of his last thing here, is just checking out of the country. When thing levels up, remove him from the game with his counters at the end of your next turn, put him onto your side. So yeah, he actually, that's why his second ability is there. If other people are fighting and he's not, he gets XP because he's just watching. He's like, no, like, we don't need to be doing this. And he always up, he becomes a 6/6. And he has, we gotta protect the people still. And I'm gonna say this improperly, but we're gonna try it. Il es tempest de battere. So he pays green and earth. So each 4 gets a combination of that. You may say it's clobbering time in any language you like. If you do, put 10/1/1 counters on the thing. That's cool. Makes him 16/16. Yeah, so he actually goes to France. He's like, America, you guys are crazy. You're doing this. I can't choose a side. I can't choose my family. So he just leaves. Cool. And our last Fantastic Four character is Uatu, the Watcher. Portal to an alternate reality. Your deck may only include Marvel cards, but it may include Marvel cards from the photographic universe. That's interesting. Oath of non-interference. Uatu can't be in your front row, can't attack, and can't strike. Watch. Level up 10. When an enemy player plays a card, he gains 1 XP. This is neat, because like Franklin and Richard let you alternate reality play 3 different decks. Uatu's going to basically just let you make a deck up of whatever you want, as long as it's only Marvel cards. So you can't include Buffy, X-Files, Alien Predators, or if you get into or Mortal Kombat, you get into the live action, you can't include, or you can't include, I guess, X-Files and Buffy to be live action, also like AEW, The Boys, you can't include any of that stuff. So it's not Marvel. But you can include any of the MCU stuff, which is a lot of interesting stuff in there, too. The only thing there is that they break their teams down into heroes and villains instead of by Avengers, X-Men, stuff like that. So they were not going to really be able to team attack with too many people. But, again, make for, like, some interesting deck combinations. Alright. His level up, he goes to a 10/10. Oath of non-interference, he can't be in your front row, can't attack, can't strike. Break the oath, pay 1 earth and 1 space. He loses oath of a non-interference for the rest of the game. So that way he can come out and attack. Cool. Those are our main characters. Some different takes on the characters. We're going to jump into the rest of the cards. Unless noted otherwise, we have 4 copies of each. We're going to start with Brainstorm, aka Valeria Richards. Smartest girl in existence. Build for a yellow. Draw cards and have as many cards in hand as the number of characters on all sides. So early in the game, not very great. Late in the game, this could be a game changer. The Human Torch was hot-headed. Your first strike this turn, he strikes the defender. Powerhouse, aka Franklin Richards, who's also a Fantastic Four. It's also noticed that he's just anti-registration. Kind of neat. So if you're playing with the Civil War stuff, again, you have these guys you can use as supporting characters. Universal Shaper. Pay a blue, shuffle each card in your resource row into its owner's deck. Put that many cards from the top of your deck into your resource row face down. Then turn any number of face down locations face up. Interesting. So you can kind of like you gamble on what you're going to get. But you could put a bunch of cards. You're like, hey, I can't use this now. I can't use this. Just drop all your heavy cards in. Then maybe pull them out later. That's kind of interesting. The Thing, part of, again, pro registration. Clobber, when Thing stuns your defender, move it to its back row. It can't ready or move its next turn. Mr. Fantastic. Stretch your mind, creates an intervention, and stretch your body. Mr. Fantastic enters combat, double his attack, or double his defense. It's kind of cool. Neat way to do that. That's a neat outfit, too. So is this one. There's some neat outfits on these versions of them. Invisible Woman. Invisible Woman doesn't protect characters and can't attack protected characters. And then she can create a wall of force, just like her other version. It's nice. That kind of makes it better. It's dual usage. Then we have this. This is surprising. We have Doctor Doom as a Fantastic Four member. Fantastic inventor. Doctor Doom creates 2 Fantastic Four inventions. So it's kind of neat. We have, I love this crossover, right? It's like, hey, you buy this like deck, right? You can use stuff for Civil War. You can make some new Fantastic Four decks. So we have some interesting guys like Doctor Doom. And then our last supporting character is Silver Surfer, who's actually a defender. So again, another guy that works with the team, makes sense the theming of the set, but then he also works for a different team altogether. The Power Cosmic, Space or Earth, stun a supporting character in the combat with a cost of 7 or less, stun the main character in the combat with 2 or less. So it's really neat about these Earth and Space ones. I like the factor including this deck and then the next deck as well. So you have better access to them. But there's not a ton of characters that use them versus the other colors. So you can use them as your regular resources, use them for location purposes if something interacts with a location. But the fact is there's only a few guys that use these means that they're the only ones that have to worry about doing it. If I only have 4 yellow out, I have to make sure I share that between every other character in my deck that wants yellow. But here, like, right, I only have a couple of characters that might use them. Any other characters I include from other sets probably won't. So they don't have to compete over it as much. But that's kind of cool. A stun main character with level 2 or less. That's cool. He's 15 defense. Cool. Now we have a plot twist here. Fantastic. Put 4 +1/+1 counters on a character in combat. I'm going to see if it specifies the rule for this. Yes. Your team has 4 symbols, which means you must have 4 face-up Fantastic Four characters in order to play it. Yeah, so it's kind of neat as well, right? Little 4 things are loyal to be a have 4 of them. Before I go to the last couple of cards, I did want to jump back to Uatu here in the instructions here. Keep in mind, characters from different users don't account having the same name for purposes of uniqueness and power. For example, you can have illustrated Spider-Man and photographic Spider-Man play at the same time, but they can't be used to power each other up. So yeah, just an interesting thing to note. Alright, so we have 1 copy of this invention. We have the Portal to Prison. This is 42, the Negative Zone Prison, used during Civil War. Negative Zone Prison says, when defending enemy supporting character gets stunned, remove it from the game. Interesting. So you can play this, but you have to play it, get that invention to play it first. Since it's a pro registration, it means only a pro registration person can play it. So like Doctor Doom can play Fantastic Four stuff, but you can't play this one. Then we have 1 copy of Psycho History. Predict destructive scenario. Make a prediction where you name a character. The next time a support character with that name would appear on the enemy side, reveal your prediction and put that character in its owner's KO pile instead. That's kind of cool too. Interesting though that we have 2 cards for pro registration and nothing for anti. I'm surprised it wasn't a 1-in-1. Then the last 4 cards are Earth. The Earth locations. We get some of those. I mean, same exact art on each one, but that's still pretty cool that we got some more of those. Alright, there is our checklist, just in case you wanted a reminder of what was all in there. Yeah, really cool stuff. Yeah, I like these sets like this where you're going to get, here's some new characters for this team, here's some new characters for that team. Like, you know, a little bit more of a crossover thing where you get some interaction with other characters that work with other teams. It's not just, oh, I'm just playing the Fantastic Four. Nope, now I can use them in this deck, use them in that. Or if I was already playing a Civil War deck, one of those teams, I could include these, and I could include a couple Fantastic Four characters as well to utilize their abilities and stuff. I think that's a really fun mechanic and feature to do in this game, instead of it always just being the one team of the one characters. Because that's the whole thing. Crossover makes these, I think, a lot more fun to play. Alright, that's what we have for Fractured Family. Come back and check out the next set, which is Frightful Foes. So if we have the Fantastic Four, we're going to go up against some of their greatest villains. And it's going to be a very interesting set. See you guys there. Bye.